Good evening. This is live in English for the subject that yesterday was a little difficult to convey the message because of the connection of the internet. So today I will start with the question is, what is the real self in this digital self that we are exposing ourselves in all kinds of media around us, such as Line, Facebook, and television, and everything around the country, around this century. Which one is a real self? The picture that we post in Facebook or whatever we post in the Instagram, or liking or using the username for everything that we are facing. The virtual reality that has influence upon ourselves and all the medias. So the question is, what is the real self against the digital self? Because the imagination of ourselves, or whatever we want people to follow us, what is the real self of yours? So this is a question that we will start for us to think about. And another question is that how do we develop ourselves through the digital footprint, which has everything as our history in the computer, data, communication in all kinds. Even in AI that we use, have all these records within the footprint. So the question is, do we have free will after we have been recorded upon these medias that we let ourselves in? Do we have any kind of saying against what we did in our past? In other words, it means that we are the slave of our own action that we already post in all kinds of medias around us. My point in this topic is that most of the time when we use media and when we use all kinds of self-description, we hardly have the knowledge of what is the self. Most of the time we follow to the concept of the edge that we connect with other people. But to understand the self-knowledge, the knowledge of ourselves within ourselves is so difficult, because we always have the digital self with us at all times, rather than to be conscious of our observation, or being conscious of what we are doing, rather than be always observing outside of us. That is a question of the identity of the self. So we come back to the question is, how do we know or understand ourselves in this century continuously? Because most of the time we put ourselves into digital community, such as we mentioned before. So I feel that the more we put ourselves into media, the more we have to go within ourselves, which means that we have to do more meditation. In other words, through meditation, we look within ourselves rather than look outside of ourselves. That we always do that. When we have free time, you just look at your mobile phone, your television, or whatever media that you have, rather than to sit still and look within yourself. So this is a problem. I think this is a crisis in this century that we hardly understand ourselves from within. Yeah. We always look outside and to understand ourselves from the outside world, what other people are looking at us, rather than to know what we are looking from our own point of view. So I feel that it's important in this century. The more we look into technology, the more we have to look within ourselves. Why? Because the self-knowledge is the most important thing. Starting from Socrates, the ancient Greeks, who said that know thyself is the most important thing for one to understand. Because before you can do anything in this world, you have to understand who you are first, what kind of person you are, what are you good at, what is your potential in life, what is your dream in life. So that to answer this question, you have to observe yourself at the very beginning. And it always relates to other people as well. To understand yourself and other people and to know what you're looking for in this life. It means that you have to have the self-knowledge, because the self-knowledge is somewhat leads you to know direction, what kind of life you want to live. For who's like a boat with some kind of direction within the boat. Without the boat, without direction, you just go in all kinds of all directions without knowing what you want. So in this case, self-knowledge is very important, and I think it has to start from the very beginning, from a childhood, for the parents to learn to lead the children to learn how to think for themselves, to learn how to understand themselves and other people, and to learn how to live this life by themselves. Because without the self-knowledge, one cannot really know what we want in life. So with self-knowledge, you can direct your own thoughts, your own wanting, and what is the most important thing that you want in life, and you can develop that. The self-knowledge leads you to be able to develop the potential within yourself, that if you know who you are and what you're good at, then you are able to observe what kind of things that you want to do and how to develop yourself for the best. And it's a pity that if parents doesn't lead kids, little baby beyond 5 years old to understand and observe themselves, it's a pity if they go into media directly without knowing what they want. And so they involve themselves into the different medias, and without knowing that to go back into yourself, how to do it. And so it's very important for the next generation to learn how to live with themselves, to learn how to understand what they want in this life, and rather than to just go directly. Well, in China right now, they try to teach children how to use AI. But before using the AI, children have to learn first what is AI use be benefit for the children. Why is it benefit for human to use AI, and what do we gain from learning this, and how to control it? Other than that, we will be the victim rather than controlling. We will be the victim of the AI that can direct us instead of directing the AI. So at one point that, as I said before, that many scientists was afraid that whatever we invented, if we get out of hand, because we cannot control it anymore to the end of invention. Just like anything that we invented from the very beginning, we are so grateful that we can find something for us to use, for us to develop, to save ourselves from many things. But at the end of the result, we don't know how that can end up within our life. How are we able to control that, or it get out of hand? And this is always a problem that a scientist face at the end as well. Many things that many questions, there are many incidents that show that whatever we invented can harm ourselves at the same time. Such as Madame Marie Curie, she carried whatever she invented all the way with herself, no matter where she is. And in that sense, it kind of killed herself because the radiation radiates upon herself, and that is part of the problem that she died after the radiation that she keep within herself. This is a small example to show that whatever we invented may not be the benefit, but we have to find out. It's a matter of the thinkers or the philosopher to think about ahead of other people, to be able to find out what is the outcome of what we are doing. If we keep on doing it, what will be the result of doing so? For example, technology. For example, the media that have no ending to it. For example, right now we use mobile phone without any control. Yeah? We use it for having meal with family. We use it at work. We use it everywhere. But how can we control whatever we're using can become the best result? For those who have the conscience of how to use the media for the best of their interest, those who have no interest how to use it and just blindly using it, it becomes very dangerous for most of the people. One of the examples that was in the book of Richard Layard, who wrote about happiness in around the world. He observed every nation, every country, and he found out that in some nation, like at Bhutan, at the beginning when they start to have television or mobile phone, and the father and all the family hardly pay attention to the baby or the kids around them. They just put the baby in front of it, and then the parents just going to observing their mobile phone. And this can always be any case what's happening right now. Parents put the baby in a safe place, and then they just put in the computer, playing with the computer and being very busy with their own business. So the concept of being together with the family and to take care of the kids different in this century, that you no longer become one-to-one to your own kids or your family, and you have a tendency to be the victim of the whatever that you invented. So I feel that this subject is important for the modern time, because when we talk about digital self, we are the victim of what we create in the medias, and also the digital footprint, the self of our own footprint that we search, we observe, whatever is already recorded in the computer, already recorded in whatever media that they have. So we are no longer free from whatever we observe, whatever we becomes part of the computer, part of the what we interested in. Many people know about it, and without the knowledge of our own understanding. And so this is the problem of the modern time, modern man, or the 21st century, that we are part of the media, part of the technology that has no ending to it. And how can we control ourselves to be able to maintain our self-knowledge and find out what do we really want from life? So in this century, we can find out that there are so many scammers, so many corruptions, because people think that we attach ourselves to whatever we have, rather than to understand ourselves through being human being, as a human, to observe other people and understand other people. We have no, when you are a scammer, you have no interest how the people feel when they being cheated by other human being, you know. And so the quality of humanity has gone down. We have no interest or no sympathize for those around us anymore. So this is a problem in this century, that we are associated with a lot of technology, a lot of things around us, rather than to have the sympathize or empathy to those who has been corrupt, and those who got corrupted by other people. I think that we have to redefine ourselves in this century much more than before. What do we really want from life, and what is the most important thing in life, rather than to find more material, and you never have the ending to it. And you found out that in this century, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And this means that the suffering of human being will be much more than before, because you just want to gather whatever you need at most that you want. But to give away, but only some millionaires who are very keen on helping others. There are some of that too. But most of the time, people just concerned of what they want to have more and more, and never stop doing so. So in this case, I would suggest that to understand ourselves more is more important is to do meditation. As I mentioned many times before, that to meditation is what one leads to into oneself, to be able to understand who you are by understand the different aspects in your body and your mind. Yeah? That the body and the mind has its connection. If you understand it, it will be different elements. The body consists of different elements: the earth, the fire, the air, and the water. Yeah. So the four elements can be realized through meditation. So if we are able to reach to a certain point of meditation, you realize that, and realizing this kind of truth, it would bring one to have less greediness, less anger, less emotion. You will be more involved around the world and observe things as it is, and to know what to understand things as they are, rather than to understand things that we think that it should be like. So to understand reality is more important, and able to reach to it through your own meditation. In other words, with meditating upon the breath, breathing in and out, or the tummy, the rising and falling of the stomach, to fix one mind at one pointedness. To a certain point, you will reach to understanding the reality of the self, and to understand that leads one to have less anger, less greediness, less emotion, and leads one to be able to understand what is a real happiness, which came from peace within yourself. I think this is very important for man in this century to understand this concept, because we are not in the rat race anymore, but we are above the rat race, which is for the 19th century. This is 21st century. So it's more like a racing within yourself. You know, it's not the outer self, but it's within the self that we have to find out who we are, in order to understand more in what direction we want this life to be like. So I hope that after this, probably you will set up yourself to do meditation more than before, and maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes before you go to work or come back home, and do it 5 or 10 minutes before you go to bed, and you will see the difference between the day that you do and the day you don't. And if you have any things to share to one another, we can talk, we can make some kind of remarks upon experience that we have, so that we can have the communication together to find out what is a real self that we can discover. So I hope that through understanding the real self rather than the digital self is important. Even though we are in this digital self, we have to realize it and able to find out the other side of the self, the true self that within ourselves. Yeah. So to understand the true self within ourselves, it means that we have to go back within the self to realize it, look within ourselves rather than to look out. Yeah. And most times it's easier to look outside, but to look inside is more important and more difficult. And that has to come through your focusing upon one pointedness at what you're doing, such as the breathing or the rising and falling of the stomach. So through this kind of observation, one found out that if you do meditation for at least 8 minutes a day before you go to work, it will make the whole day different, because you'll be more conscious of what you're thinking, your action, your treating other people. It will be much more kinder, more understanding, and more compassion towards whatever you are doing. So I feel that happiness can easily gain through this kind of meditation, because the life in this century is not easy, because it's full of the media coming to you every single step that you're doing. Because you open your mobile phone, you turn on television, you are part of the movement that's going on every single minute. But if you don't hold on into yourself, you'll be the part of the change that you don't know what direction you are facing at. Because all the media that you receive, you hardly know what is real. You cannot distinguish between real and the true story. Yeah? The true story and the make-up story that all the scammers have been using. And this becomes the problem of the humanities in this century. The more we immerse into media, the more we have to all hold on to ourselves to understand why we are doing what we are doing, why we are facing this, rather than to another way around. So it means that whatever you are looking at is already in the footstep or the footprint of yours already. You are part of the recording that they already record. Do we have free will anymore? That is another question. So to free yourself is to go back within yourself and to understand who you are, what we want in this life, what kind of life we want to live, how to bring back the sense of human back again to the humanities, rather than to just only to wanting more and never learn how to give more and sympathize more and give more compassion to other human beings. And they feel that the more compassion you have, the better you become. I think that if you feel angry, you need to have more compassion. In this case, is a part of the reason why we have to live together and learn how to give more to one another. Because those who live for themselves, earn whatever they want more, they cannot find happiness within themselves. But if you can find that you can give to others more, you'll be more happier in this sense. So I would suggest that through meditation, one can find much more happiness in life rather than to drift through life and doing nothing. And just let yourself go, and that's it, the end of everything. I think that life is very short, and at this age I feel it's very short. So one have to make the best of it. How to control one's thought, how to be one with the present, how to understand yourself and others, and learn how to live this life for the best. I think that is crucial things for this century, that one have to live this life for the better. So I don't know if there's any question that you want to ask, or any thing that you want to add. Please do so. So if there's no question and nothing that you want to add, I would like to end this section now. No question, nothing. And I hope that self-knowledge coming through you through your own observation. And as I said so many times, that to have the self-knowledge is not easy. One has to learn how to observe himself very clearly. And the self is not static, it's dynamic. So it's something that you learn every day. Even when you get so old, you have something to know about yourself much more than that you never know it before. I think that is very important for one to learn who you are and what you want to do in this life, other than just drifting through life and doing whatever you want to do for yourself only, but to do yourself, to help yourself and help others. I think it's a gift of life for us to be able to do so. So I feel that observing yourself, understanding yourself, and live accordingly to yourself, to your nature, I think is the most important thing for one to do before one pass on this life to another life. I feel that it's important for us to enjoy the life and live this life for the best. It means for the healthy body and the mind. It came from the knowledge of the self. Understand how to make your mind sharp, how to make your body strong, and this is a technique that you can learn more. There are many scientific development in this century that we learn more about the body and the mind. And yet, the more important is to look within yourself. Meditation is a way to understand it through understanding. Like the Buddha, he didn't look outside, but he looked within himself by observing the breath that he used, be one with the breath. And through this, he become enlightened. Enlightened in this sense that to know the reality of the character of the reality, what it is. And what he found out that the character of the reality is three characters. First, the changeable of all things. Nothing is stable. Nothing stays the same. Everything is changing. For example, like now when we talk about quantum physics, every single cells is moving at all times, but we feel that it stays the same. In fact, it's moving, but it's moving so fast that we feel that nothing is changed. The glass, the paper, whatever around you is always changing. So in the world of physics, nothing stays the same. It's changing at all times. Yeah? is moving so fast. So we think that is static. In fact, it has some kind of space in everywhere. Yeah. So in the world of physics, that they try to tell us is that is another world, that is another realm that we have to look at. Like some of the philosophers said that Kant said that in the real world there's no color, there's no color, but only the different shade of dark and light. Yeah. So even though at that time they did not discover anything that is more scientific proof, but it's his imagination. He can tell that within the world that we perceive is the color is something that within in our eyes, that we think is blue, we think it's green, but in fact it's a shade that changing at all times. Yeah, depends on the movement of the lights and shade. So what is real then? Yeah, in ourselves, within ourselves, that we observe ourselves is clearly enough. We can say is something that is very interesting to find out. Yeah. And I hope that finding out about ourselves is very interesting, to be able to observe ourselves at all times, why we are thinking the way we do, why we are acting the way we do, why we are talking the way we do. You know, it helps us to know more about ourselves. Yeah. In this case, I think it's very unique about ourselves, very interesting about ourselves, and to be able to be part of the whole. Okay. Now we talk about the first reality of all things, that is the changeable of all things. Second, when the things are changing at all times, we tend to cling to it. That means that we can be suffering through the change because we cling to something. Like suppose we think that the baby is so cute, we don't want it to grow up. You know? In fact, the baby is growing up at all times, never stay the same. Yeah. So to cling to something that changing, that is a suffering also, because we doesn't want it to change. But things are changing every time that we're looking everywhere. As I said, atoms always moving. It never stay the same. And that's come back to the last truth that the Buddha discovered, that is the concept of no self. In this way, there's only one thinker who agrees with the Buddha, that is David Hume. David Hume gives us a very interesting concept, that is we perceive the world through impression and ideas. Many impressions made up the ideas, so association of ideas. So we have to think of ourselves, we think of ourselves when we were little, and then growing up, and then getting old, from one step to another, then become a real movie of oneself. Yeah, from one channel up to another channel. But what is real then? There's no such thing you can identify that this is you. It's always changing. There's no such thing as a self-identity. How can you say this is a self before or after that you think who you are? So in that sense, the body and the mind, suppose we talk in terms of body and mind, the body is changing, you know, getting old, getting sick, everything. And also the mind is even more active than the body. It's changing at all times. When you sit and meditate, you know that your mind keep on changing, thinking of one thing to another, never stop the thinking. So how to understand that the self, there's no such thing as a self. Yeah, it's always changing and never stay the same. So these three characteristics of reality that the Buddha discovered through meditation become so, he realized it and able to understand things around himself very well. So this is the truth about life. If the truth about life, we can talk about it, but to realize it, you have to do the practice of meditation. And like you can see that many doctors now are interested in meditation because the doctor found out about human being, the body and the mind and all this. So they want to discover the reality of it afterwards. So for us as a people who try to understand what is real, what is the self, what is real, through meditation only, that able to bring us to understand or the understanding of ourselves. พออายุมากขึ้นกลัวการเปลี่ยนแปลงขึ้นจริงๆค่ะ Yes, that is a true story. You don't have to be afraid, you know. Change is everywhere. We are changing at all times. Our hair changing, our food digestion, everything is changing. So don't be afraid, and especially those who feel that one is sick and ready to go, you got to go one day. You have to accept the change or accept that as it is. That's nothing to be afraid of, but it's only to have welcome it and find out how to deal about it. So what are you afraid of? คุณฝ้าย Yes. การเปลี่ยน everything that change around us is the truth. There's nothing static and stay the same, and that is the truth about life. So when one is suffering, people will say, oh, the suffering will be gone soon because it's changing, everything is changing. The same thing as when you are very happy, the stage of happiness is also changing, you know. So to be aware of it, to be knowing it and aware of it, that nothing stays the same, and that is very important. Just feel that the sense of when you breathe, the breath within yourself, when you feel the heart is beating, and when you feel every single cells in your body is changing, and that is a fact. So the changing of the heart, the breath that you breathe in and everything, it never stays the same. So why should we be afraid of change when it's a fact about life? Yeah, คุณฝ้าย you don't have to be afraid of. Except many people are so afraid that their loved one will be gone. And unfortunate things that happen if we are losing our loved one, everything. But I have to remember that one has to exist no matter what. But you have to learn how to exist well, how to live this life well, by understanding the fact of life, that this is a fact of life that we have to understand. Well, when you learn about existentialism around the 19th century, those thinkers around that area face many change in life. For example, World War II, they face about the death, face about the sickness from plague, many people die in front of them day by day. And so the face of death, face of the change that happened physically around the city, the bombs and everything gone for the sudden. When they see things like this, they seem to understand that, oh, this is life, we have to accept it. And when we accept life as it is, it means we are beyond the step of being suffered from it. To embrace the change that's happening very quickly, still not easy, of course, but to be aware of it at all times is important. How do we know that those who love the one who we love may not be with us the next day? We have to be aware of it. Anything can happen, but we are not going to worry about it, but aware of it, that anything can happen. And this happened to me when I had my kids, my own kids. I asked myself, oh, I'm attached to my kids so much. What happened if I lost them? Yeah, that is the most difficult thing that I can accept. And this can happen to any parents who are afraid of losing their own kids, and the most suffering that one can ever have in their life. But to be aware of this incidents, you got to learn how to adjust your own thinking. Yeah. It doesn't mean that we love them less, but we are being aware of it. It means that we are ready to face anything. I don't know if I can convey the message very well. But if we live ignorantly, or we live in a big house, we live in a very comfortable place, and one day after the war is all gone. But if we are not aware of it, we'll be the victim of the victim of the unhappiness. Being aware of and not being involved in it without being aware is different. So being aware of it, anything that can happen, it means that we are wiser by understanding everything. For example, death. We talk about death. For those who are sick, think about death, afraid of death, whatever. But if we welcome death, and when death comes, it becomes not bad at all, I think. Because one of the philosophers said that when you are afraid of death, you are dying so many times. But if you welcome death, it means that death can come to you and you're never afraid of death. How to welcome that? It means being welcomed. That means that you are able to accept it. When you accept anything, it's easier to live with it rather than forget it. So it means being conscious, being aware of it is more important. But any situation can happen in one's life. I don't know if I carry the message to you. Kun Fai, you have any more question? Please do. When we talk about change at all, any kind of change, if people cannot accept the change, it will be very difficult to live in. So if you understand that change is a characteristic of life, now then you understand that you have to accept the change. Yes, Kun Fai, I hope that you are better off with knowing and accepting the change. Then you can compare yourself. Without being afraid of accepting it, it's different thing. We don't have to be afraid of because it's a fact of life. As I said too many times about our body is changing, our mind is changing at all times. Things around us are also changing. Anything can happen anytime. So if we are aware of that and ready for any change, we are in a better off situation rather than not knowing it. Well, thank you for talking, and I think that exchanging ideas is important too. Any more question? Please do. So in conclusion, I would say that digital self is something that we create in the media, and sometimes some people cannot distinguish between the creation of their own self through the media and their real self. And whatever you create through the media become your footprint. You cannot escape from that. It becomes the history of yourself. So before we do anything, we need to observing ourselves for the best, realizing the realization of the true self of you. What are we good at? What is our potential in life? What kind of life we want to live? These are the self-knowledge that we need to find. And through this, by observing ourselves, observing our thoughts, writing down diary, because knowing the self is very difficult. Writing down your thoughts, it probably will help you to learn more about oneself. Another method is through meditation, as I mentioned before, to observe your own breath in and out, or your rising and falling of the stomach. And whenever ideas come to yourself, for example, breathing in and breathing out, and then you think of something else, you have to know that you are thinking of something, then come back to the pay attention to through your nose once again. In other words, you have to have being mindful at all times. Being mindful at all times means that whenever distraction comes in, you notice it. But if the distraction comes in and you are not being mindful, then you go along with the thoughts in all directions. Never stay at one pointedness with what you are doing. So if you stay at one pointedness of what you are doing, it means that you are able to control your own mind through your own breath. And to the point that if you control long enough, you are able to realize the 4 elements within yourself: the breath, the air, the water, the earth, the hard elements, and the fire, the warmth within your body, that it moves along the body. These are the truths about your own body that you can discover through yourself, that you are consistent with 4 elements, that you can realize it through your own observation of the breath, and you have the mindful long enough to be able to realize this. Many people some people realize it 7 days, 10 days, 3 months, or 3 years, depends on how much they are able to manage with their own thoughts. Or some never do it until one die, and then that's a pity. To be realized about your own self, like one of the sages said, to know who you are. If you live one day, it's worth more than you live for 1,000 years and never learn about yourself. So learning about yourself is very, very important, very dynamic, because it's changing at all times, and it's make your life is worth living. Then you learn to know what you want to do in this life. For those youngsters, what is your potential in life? What kind of life you want to live? You have to come from the self-knowledge, always. And then, if you have the knowledge of the self far enough, you are being a happy person, because you know what you want in life, and you won't regret it if you do it. For those who regret of themselves, why should we do this and should we do that? Then you become much more unhappy. But if you know what are you doing, what you want in this life, and you follow step by step, you're grateful for who you are. Even though you are successful or failure, it doesn't mean at all, means anything. But because you have done what you want to do, because you think that this is a life that you want to live, and it means a lot for you each day. So I think that very important for one to learn the self-knowledge, the true self, because we always, in this century, we always look into the mobile phone, never stop doing that, never stop the computer learning about things around you. So we always looking outside rather than within, look back within ourselves. And the less knowledge we have ourselves, but we have knowledge of many things, and we cannot do anything about it. We think that we know, but in fact what we know is very little according to what people want you to know. Especially those scammers, those corrupt people who take advantage of your ignorance. So, and greediness is what the people in this world right now is a victim of that. So how can we free ourselves from all this fatalities ทั้งหลายแหละ the whatever cause your unhappiness. So to be able to understand yourself, you are able to learn how to live beyond your unhappiness by understanding yourself and what you want to do in this life. Give you more sympathy towards others, give you more sympathy about yourself, and give compassion more to other people. The more compassion you give to other people, the more happiness you become. You never see, you learn more about that. No, you never see anyone who's greedy and who think about themselves only can be happy. But you can see the people who think about other people and concerned about other people, they are the most happiest one, because they never think for themselves only, and they are able to give to others more. Just ask yourself, when you want to give others, you are happier before already. But if you want more and more, you become more unhappy. Just as a simple fact as that. So think about this concept and how to live your life for the better. Okay. Now, is there any more question that you want to ask? Couldn't find. Or anybody at all? So I would like to encourage you all to do meditation. And as I said, 8 minutes before you go out to work or do whatever you want, and before bed for 8 minutes, or even more than that, the better, the longer the better. Just the quality of it, to be mindful at all times when you do meditation. And this being mindful helps you a great deal when you do your work, when you deal with other people. You're able to control yourself much more, control your ideas, control your intake, and know what you want to do in this life. I think it's very essential for one to be able to live this life for the better. So I hope whoever you are have a good life by observing yourself. Be happy with yourself because you know who you are, what you want in this life. But it's not an easy task to learn who you are. It means that you have to be very sensitive to observing yourself, why you're thinking the way you do, why you are saying the way you do, and this can tell you a lot about yourself. Yeah, because when we look at ourselves, to look into the mirror, then you know who you are. But to look into yourself within yourself is difficult. So observing why you think the way you do, why you speak the way you do, why you have action towards things around you like that, it tell a lot about yourself. Yeah. So observing everything, every little things that you do, that is not easy, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile because you can live this life with confidence, because you know what you're doing and why you're doing so. Okay? Okay. Now, I hope you all have a good night's sleep and best wishes. Thank you. Bye-bye.